I think I figured it out, or at least it came close before everything hit the banners. Bases dropped on another round of soccer down here. It's Tuesday Thoughts. I know that number one thing on everybody's mind here in the Southeast is Hurricane Ian. So just make sure that everyone in and around you is safe. And it looks like it's going to be pretty nasty, especially if you have friends in Florida. And I have friends who vacation there, and they've been told to evacuate. So hopefully everybody gets back home safely, and just keep an eye on your friends, keep an eye on your family, keep an eye on each other with Ian coming over the next couple of days. We've got a match involving the U.S. men's national team. That's at 2 o'clock. We'll get into looking back and biggest Tuesday thoughts that you guys have on it. So it was announced yesterday that Pepe and Pulisic are going to be a part. A lot of alliteration from anxious anchors placed in powerful posts. So what are you guys thinking about starting 11s? What would you like to see other than make sure that no one is injured after this match is over? So let me know what your thoughts are on USMNT as they play Saudi Arabia. The juice boxes on it, U.S. are a favorite, and that should be no surprise. Right now, the numbers, U.S. are minus 112. Your draw is a plus 234. And Saudi Arabia is a plus 324. So we'll keep an eye on that. We'll talk about what happened last time out and bring you forward into this match. Japan right now is goalless at the break. I believe that they're getting close to starting the second half if they haven't already. Japan and Ecuador are in the 50th minute. So they are in the second half. And they're goalless. One other friendly on the board right now with some very, very far eastern teams, Nepal leading Bangladesh by the score of 3-1. We'll get into all the juice boxes and everything with all the action coming on in just a little bit. But as always, the opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. And once again, there's your QR code right there. There's your QR code. So Kickoff Coffee, once again, you can find them on social media, on Twitter, on Facebook, and on Instagram at Kickoff Coffee CO. What you can do is if you use the code Soccer Down Here 15, you get 15% off of your investment. And nicely done, Kefsey. Which version? Let me know. Let me know what you think, so we can pass along the love for Kickoff Coffee. Use the code Soccer Down Here 15, get 15% off of your purchase, and then they in turn take 10% and reinvest it into youth initiatives. Very, very cool stuff from our friends at Kickoff Coffee and kickoffcoffeeco.com. So my thought this morning, and it was, really massive props to our friends at the Football Association of Wales. Rwanda Musasa. Cool. Thank you. And for those that don't know, Kefsey, what that is, let everybody know what kind of a coffee it is. And so maybe you can attract folks to Rwanda Musasa as a part of their kickoff coffiness. But the Football Association of Wales posted yesterday on their social media channels, Michael Sheen. And he came in and was presented a jersey, obviously very, very humbled and overwhelmed by that, because if you missed it last time when he was on the game show and he was told that he had to give the pep talk, that's the word I'm looking for. You might remember this. Once again, let me see if I can do a couple of different things here. I'm gonna actually create a banner. So let's see what happens here. Michael Sheen on. Well, provided I could spell Sheen, Michael Sheen on Wales. There we go. All right. So we're going to do this. So here's Michael Sheen on FA Wales last time out. If you remember this particular conversation, once again, it's courtesy of our friends at, I want to say it's from, once again, it's British television. So here's Michael Sheen first time out.
As a proud Welshman, you must be excited to be playing England in the World Cup this winter.
Oh, yes.
Can I ask you, could you give us a little burst of the sort of rousing speech that you might give the Welsh lads before the game?
Oh, my God. That's a big responsibility.
Yes. Can we have some music, please?
All right. I have to get in the right headspace now. Okay. Amarohid. I hear the voices singing. Speed your journey, boys, boys, Bach. One nation, singing with one voice. A song of hope, a song of courage, a victory song that floats through the valleys like a red mist, rolls over the mountaintops like crimson thunder. A red storm is coming to the gates of Qatar. It crackles with the spirit of 58 and Jimmy Murphy's boys. It turns the pages of the history books and finds Rob's page, waiting, still to be written. What would you write in there, boys? Dare you write your names on that page? We haven't waited 64 years and come halfway around the world to be troubled by a neighbour from back home. When the English come knocking on our door, let's give them some sugar, boys! Let's give them some Welsh sugar! They've always said we're too small, we're too slow, we're too weak, too full of fear. But Amar O'Heed, you sons of speed, as they fall around us, we are still here! Yes! To the world!
All right, so that was Michael Sheen the first time around, and that was courtesy of the League of Their Own game show on Sky Max is where I think it is now. So yesterday, yeah, as you should, Sam, and so this is where we're getting to with our opening kickoff. He gave another speech, and once again, this was directly to the team in and of itself. Yesterday, the video came out that he gave a pep talk to the team itself. That's on the FA Wales YouTube channel. And it was the same premise, but, the fact that Michael Sheen was there in person. I mean, honestly, if you don't have chills from that kind of a speech, Imad Ohid, we are still here, if I could get my upper plate to work. So my question for you today with the match at 2:00, if you could anoint someone to give a pregame pep talk to the U.S. men's national team, who would you pick and why? And what would the theme of the speech be? Who would you pick? Why? And what would the theme of your speech be? And we'll make this the recurring question this morning here. So opening kickoff will lend itself to a thread this morning. Let me know who you would have give the speech to the U.S. men's national team. It doesn't necessarily have to be today against Saudi Arabia. When they're in Qatar, they've got the match in front of them. Who are you giving the pep talk to? Is it Michael Jordan? Do you want Jordan to come in there and give a pep talk? Do you want Kurt Russell to do it? In Herb Brooks, in Herb Brooksian kinds of ways. Who are you anointing, appointing? Who are you tapping on the shoulder and saying, hey, look, if I'm, Sam Williamson, Al Pacino. Yeah, if you have the chance to sit there, budget is no object. You can get a G4 from Wheels Up and it doesn't matter. First match of the group stage of the World Cup in Qatar. Let me know who you would pick. Once again, cost is no object to get that individual to Qatar. And what would the theme of the speech be? All right, so Nix is agreeing about Kurt Russell as Herb Brooks. And so Sam Williamson wants Al Pacino. Now, is it just Al Pacino, or is it like the football movie Al Pacino, when he was the coach of Willie Beeman and the Miami Sharks? Was it that Pacino, or is it Pacino in general? So let me know who's giving the speech, what's the topic, because we're still here is Michael Sheen's Imad Ohid in Welsh. We're still here is the thought from Michael Sheen as he talks to the Welsh players. What's your theme? Who you having give the speech? Let me know. So that's the opening kickoff. Okay, the football movie head coach. Okay, so the football movie head coach Al Pacino. Completely understandable, considering how he was there. and had Jim Brown as an assistant coach. And you never mess with Jim Brown as an assistant coach, I'll tell you that. So that's the question. Stallone is the guy from Victory. Okay, Katie Weaver, there you go. All right, so bringing in Sylvester Stallone as the keeper from Victory. All right, so that's the question this morning. Who are you bringing in? Cost is no object. First game in Qatar. What's the theme? And who is it? So that's the opening kickoff brought to us by our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Once again, Kickoff Coffee, there's your QR code. And it's Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Kickoff Coffee CO. Use the code SoccerDownHere15. Get 15% off of your purchase, and they take 10% and they reinvest it in the World Game, into the youth game. As we're talking about the World Game today. So investing it in youth initiatives. Maybe someday they will be able to invest it in world initiatives. But youth initiatives, 10% from our friends at Kickoff Coffee, kickoffcoffeeco.com. Jason Nick says, not Stallone as King Shark and Suicide Squad. Bird. Okay. Yeah, I'm right there with you. All right. So today, this is the other question for the day. When it comes to the lineup, we know that Pepe and Pulisic are going to be a part of it. What are your expectations today, other than hopefully nobody getting hurt? What are your expectations today when it comes to the U.S. men's national team going up against Saudi Arabia? What do you want to see? Who do you want to see it from? And what are your expectations and anticipations for this match at 2:00? Hopefully, with Bart Keeler working his actual work in Vegas, hopefully we can catch up with Bart later this afternoon, and we can come up with a bit of a post-mortem with Bart, and so we'll keep an eye on that. So once again, Bart Keeler's in Vegas. If we can get a post-mortem from him after the match later this afternoon, we will certainly effort that. Oh, I guess that reminds me. We need to do some trafficking here. So here's the remainder of the week before we get into it. Once again, today's going to be a bit of a power hour, maybe a power hour plus, depending on how long we're hanging out with each other. Tomorrow, once again, Dylan Butler hanging out at 10 o'clock. And it is last home game for Atlanta United 2 up at the Fraction. So once again, if you can make it up to Kennesaw, please do. Last home game of the year, Indy 11 coming to town. And Atlanta United 2 after this finishes with 2 games on the West Coast to wrap up their USL Championship season here in 2022. So Dylan Butler tomorrow at 10. Thursday, once again, it's a power hour. And it will be Nico Moreno. Thursdays with Nico hanging out at 5 o'clock live. We'll do that. It looks like Darren Van Tassel will be joining us Friday morning at 10. So Friday morning, since it is you and me, 9:05 start, we'll go through the weekend whip around patent pending trademark coming. And then 9:30, our friends from Beyond Goals. 10 o'clock, Darren Van Tassel from South Georgia Tormenta, because it is going to be a big weekend for them. First match ever in their stadium in Statesboro. So we're going to have DVT on the show. Looks like we're going to have him on the show at 10 o'clock on Friday morning. Later today, the USL programming gets released on the network. USL Championship, USL League One. Yes, Nick's looking forward to seeing you. USL Championship, USL League One programming. That'll be released later this afternoon. We're efforting some other programming out of the USL. And also, at some point this week, want to have the college whip around. And that will be up on the network as well. So very, very busy week here for us here at SDH. All right, so expectations coming into today for the United States going up against Saudi Arabia. Last time out, Greg Berhalter admitted what went right, what went wrong. Quote, "We got our butts kicked and we're not proud of it. Should have played much better, could have played much better, and we didn't. We want to play better this game, and I think it starts with a collective, us playing together, more cohesive, and if we do that, we'll be fine." From Paul Kennedy over at Soccer America. One of Berhalter's concerns about the performance, he felt Japan did not pose problems that couldn't have been solved, for a double negative quote. It wasn't something that like we were carelessly trying to play through, 7 or 8 guys of pressure and we're unsuccessful and they're coming down our throat. It was just making some bad decisions. And having said that, we're not happy with that. We had an off game. I can't say it clearly enough. We played poorly. Coaching staff takes responsibility for that. We move on to the next game. We try to have a better game. Added decision-making involves, quote, identifying who the free man is, identifying where the pressure is coming from, and then exploiting that. So Pulisic and Pepe are starting. Pulisic didn't dress for Japan due to an injury picked up in training. quoting Berhalter, does a great job of changing the game in moments, and that's all he needs to do. Doesn't need to do anything more than he's done in the past. Pepe starts his first USA match in more than 5 months. Didn't have a good time at Augsburg, now at Groningen. Pepe needed a break, Berhalter said, was not called in for the 4 matches in the June window. Pepe is one of 4 center forwards Berhalter appears to be focused on. Jesus Ferreira, who I know that we're all looking at for not having finished the chance in the match. Josh Sargent played in the Japan game. Jordan Pefok right now is with FC Union Berlin. Berhalter said he picked Pepe over Pefok as the third striker in camp because he needed to see how he's doing following his struggles at Augsburg that ended with the loan to Groningen. Quote, I don't need him to score 5 goals. We need him to play like a forward in our system. Hopefully he gets opportunities. Hopefully he takes those opportunities well. It's stuff that he's done before us, and I'm confident he can do. He has brightness in his eyes, talking about Pepe's confidence level, ready to perform. Good to see that. I know it hasn't been easy for Rico in the last months. It's good to see him have a different demeanor. So let's see. Sam just wants a solid outing. Nick says 3GB's comments reduced my already low confidence in this team and his ability to lead them. Katie wants to know what the center back pairing is going to look like. And, that's, probably one of the questions. I mean, I would say until further notice that it would probably end up being Long and it'd probably be Long and Zimmerman, wouldn't it? And until further notice, because you want to make sure that you're looking at your number one guys. And so, that's how I'm kind of looking at it anyway. You got Anthony at left back, and then you're looking in the middle. I mean, is it Long? So, do you get to see EPB? Do you see McKenzie? Do you see both of them? That's the other element in all of this. Do you juggle things up, or do you sit there and go with what you have? And so, do we see some combination of EPB, McKenzie, Long, and Zimmerman? Do we see all 4 of them in bits and pieces? So that's the other element in this for me is, is it Richards? Is it EPB? Is it McKenzie? So I mean, it's up in the air. I mean, do you want to go in with this looking at your quote unquote number one lineup? Or do you want to sit there and try to give other guys chances like we're seeing with with Pulisic, obviously coming off of the injury, and Ricardo Pepi. So trying to think like Greg Berhalter is probably a dangerous proposition at this point. So if we take the notion of the idea that he's bringing in someone different to start at striker, does he bring in people different to start at center back and things like that? How much of a rotation is this? Nick says there's no reason for you not to give McKenzie and EPB a shot today. So, that would be, for me, once again, if I'm trying to prepare everything and figure out where guys stand, for me, I see some squad rotation. For me, it would probably be Nick's, like you were saying. I want to see McKenzie and EPB. Is it 50-50? Is it Zimmerman and one of the other two? So we'll see how this looks. But I think that, Katie, that is the major question. How much, and to a larger extent, how much rotation do we see today, and who is it? So that's the other element in all of this. Sam, Japan doesn't get enough attention. They're always a really good team, but no one shines a light on them. I don't think the USMNT came prepared. And Kefsi, going back to our speech idea, Steph Curry is a universally recognized champ closer in age to the players. Maybe he'll take them out, if they win, maybe he'll take them out for a round of golf and he'll pay for it after the fact. Because, Spain and probably have some really good golf courses too. So we've got a vote for Steph Curry. We've got a vote for Any Given Sunday's Al Pacino. And we have a vote for Kurt Russell's Herb Brooks from Miracle. So once again, keep those coming. Who are you giving the speech? Not necessarily today, but say the first match in Qatar. Who's giving that speech to get everything off to a rousing start in the World Cup come 22. So that's, once again, that came from Michael Sheen, and that was just something that popped into my head this morning when I saw that come across. So yeah, if you haven't seen the whole 7.5 minutes, it's a presentation and him being very humbled by the presentation of the jersey, those kinds of things. So Who would be your Michael Sheen? That's the question for the Power Hour this morning. So that's really, Katie, that's the question. How much rotation do we get? Is it, do we see rotation in net, knowing right now that Matt Turner is your number one? Do we see that kind of rotation? What is it? We know what it's going to look like at forward. Does the midfield stay the same, or do we see, other individuals there as well? So, no, I think that, I think that is, that is a legitimate question. I'm trying to see if there was anybody who had a projected lineup for this particular. Okay, so projected lineup against Saudi Arabia. And once again, this is from Joe Prince Wright. So we'll see what Joe Prince Wright has. And he has some rotation in his. It is Ethan Horvath in net, back four, Zimmerman, EPB in the middle, Destin, Scally on the outsides. Midfield, Adams, Reyna, McKinney, and up top, Aronson, Pepe, Pulisic. And so from Joe Prince Wright, Matt Turner proved he's the undisputed number one, excelled against Japan. Although Zach Steffen's better with the ball at his feet. Turner appears to have the upper hand. That leaves Horvath and Sean Johnson to battle it out for the final goalkeeping spot. Expect them to both get a chance in this game. That does make sense. So, let's see. Yes, Sam, you can. Yeah, literally, that's what this question was for. And like I said, I imagine I'm sorry, I'm going squirrel from content to what's going on here in the line, but in the Twitch pitch. Yes, you can. I absolutely can throw in Ric Flair. And you know that Rick will enjoy the styling and profiling and traveling in the G4, going from one end of the world to the other. Katie, no one has suggested Ted Lasso and Beard. But is it Led Tasso or is it Ted Lasso? Which one do you want? Because that to me is the other question here. Coach Beard will be sitting there and agreeing with the ideas, but is it Led Tasso or is it Ted Lasso? That's my question for you. Which one do you need to fire them up more? So that's the thought. Nix Pacino from Heat would be a great choice too because she's got a great that's right, motivates them. But yeah. So Nick says Nick says we definitely need Led Tasso, especially after what we've seen the last couple of matches. Joe Prince Wright on the defenders. EPB and McKenzie should both get plenty of minutes to make their final claim for a spot on the roster, but it may be a surprise to see them line up together. Each gets 45 along Zimmerman to see who fares as a better duo. Fullback. Scally should get a run out. And once again, this is Joe Prince Wright talking. Joe Scally should get a run out at right back. Serginho Dest will likely show off his versatility and play left. The likes of Dest and others need game time given they're on the fringes of their starting lineup for their club teams. We know what DeAndre Yedlin can do, leader on this team who's going to Qatar no matter what. And Katie once again agrees that it should be Led Tasso giving the speech. And I think we found something here. Midfield. Joe Prince Wright says he'd start Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie together again. Quoting JPW, they looked awful against Japan, which was very surprising. They have to get some kind of partnership going. 60 minutes together here could see things click back into place. We know what Luca Della Torre and Kellen Acosta offer, while Johnny and Malik Tillman could both get another longer chance to push for a spot on the roster. And I think that that's what I would probably look for as well. I think that you're going to get longer minutes from Johnny and Malik Tillman to see how they end up appearing in 3GB's eyes. Forward, Gio Reyna playing in a central role as a 10 should be something that Berhalter prioritizes. Pulisic is fit and will start, so he should start on the left. Brendan Aronson should start on the right. Getting Aronson, Reyna, Pulisic used to playing together and interchanging, something that needs to be done up top. Berhalter confirmed Pepe will get his chance to start. His physicality and speed should combine very well with the trio underneath. Expect Sargent to get a good chunk of minutes too. Jesus Ferreira is the other option, but maybe we see Pulisic and Reyna playing up there as a false nine at some point. So that's Joe Prince Wright. And I would agree on the idea of trying to see Horvath and Sean Johnson getting 45 each. I agree with the idea of Zimmerman starting. And I like the idea of 45 from Eric Palmer Brown and 45 from McKenzie to be paired with Walker Zimmerman. And then the edges, Scally and Dest. You figure Serginho Dest has to be out there in some manner, way, shape, or form. So we'll see if he goes with Joe Scally. And I like the idea of the additional minutes for Johnny and Malik Tillman. And so we'll see what happens up top as well. So that's the long version of a short question. So we'll see about that. Katie Weaver, Reed keeper. Going into the World Cup, I want the keeper who is on one as a shot stopper, good with his feet, and who cares. I don't think it's reasonable to assume this team will have success versus top teams meticulously playing out of the back, especially with the available center backs. Sam, off subject, but that's what this is all about. That's what the Twitch pitch is for, Sam. Haven't been able to watch the show, but have you guys been watching Welcome to Wrexham? No, I need to. I haven't had the time because of high school football commitments, but yes, I need to as well. And I'm trying to, once again, Sam, buy Wrexham gear. Now, here's a thing that I have learned with all of my shopping overseas is that if you're going to shop overseas, the further away from Europe you go, the more X's you need to add. Traditionally, and like I said, this is something that I have found the hard way. Give you an example. The boss travels a lot for work, and especially this time of year. And there are times when she has to go to India. And I thought it would be really cool to add some Indian Premier League stuff to my stacks. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's a league that's really obscure. And I didn't add enough X's. I mean, and I had it all figured out. It's like, all right, order from the team, have it shipped to the hotel, and the boss brings it home. Perfect. You save on shipping costs and everything. And I had that all figured out, but I didn't order enough X's attached, and they didn't have enough X's to fit. Literally, for anything in England, you probably need to add 2 X's to what your size is so you're comfortable. Yeah, exactly. You're right on, Kefsy. I do need to buy a horse trailer. But the biggest thing is if you're ever going to get gear from overseas, and I'm trying to track down Wrexham gear in the proper number of X's, add at least 2 to what you want to have on your person. If you like XLs, then go at least to a 3, maybe even a 4. The Doncaster Rovers stuff that I have is 5s. The Scunthorpe stuff that I have is 4s. It's baggy, but it works. Go with more X's, at least 2. But then the further away you get from Europe, the more X's you need to add. So that's your that is your so Sam, how was it? Yes, Nick's for Asia for sure. Add X's. Haven't found that for EPL stuff, but it's Nike and Adidas. There are some, especially in the lower divisions, Nick's, where I like to buy stuff, as you well know, that is not done by Nike or Adidas. It's done by the other folks that aren't as famous, and you do have to add X's. So traditionally, it's add X's. And so for Wrexham, it's probably going to be adding 2 for me. So it's probably going to end up being a 3 or a 4X under general circumstances. So that is your shopping note for the day. Add X's. The further away you get from Europe, 2 in Europe, the more east you go when it comes to shopping for gear. And so that's your public service announcement for today. All right. So, yes, it is sizes down here, Nix. That is without question. Shopping down here. We probably need to have our own shopping channel. Shopping down here is probably 2:45 in the morning every Thursday as we head into Freestyle Fridays. We will get into viewing habits and things like that. News out of U.S. soccer. They named a new CEO yesterday, JT Batson. And he's been involved in the game ever since he was literally a whiz kid. Grew up in Augusta, Georgia, by the way, which probably means we should probably track him down for an SDH 1v1. Advertising software CEO of Hudson MX, a 425-person software company he co-founded. Starting software management as a teenager in the 90s, was in soccer. And first software he ever wrote was to assign and pay youth soccer referees. Interesting story. Quote, came about because the local director of coaching at the soccer club in Augusta, Georgia, where I grew up, ended up moving in with our family because his apartment had some issues. That meant the administrative work he was doing got passed to me. As someone who didn't like to do all that grunt work, I wrote software to automate a lot of it. And he wanted to know, how can we do this more efficiently? Applied his soccer administrative skills when he enrolled in Stanford, helping men's and women's soccer, later worked with the men's basketball team, building a recruiting CRM system, managing the dynamic ticket process, and fan development. and moved into advertising technology, started his own company, soccer fan at heart, wakes up early in the morning and watches games until well in the evening to whatever's on the West Coast. Looking forward to attending his first international match on October 7 at Wembley, and first trip to Wembley since the women's gold medal match in London a decade ago. Only past involvement in U.S. soccer was a stint on the finance committee, spearheading the creation of the development fund. And so he's hoping to apply some of the same principles to how software platforms help media buyers help work at the federation. So from Augusta, Georgia, to the new CEO and Secretary General of USA Soccer, JT Batson. So Augusta, Georgia, shout out to you with good stuff there. No worries, Sam. Yeah, at least just keep adding. Just add X's to what you know. Bummed you didn't get an Olive North. Oh, yeah, see, Nick's, what happened was when I saw the Declaration of Independence one, we're back to shopping down here. When I saw the Declaration of Independence one that was the black jersey that had the gold writing, I'm like, yeah, I've got to get that. And I dove into it immediately and got the 2X. And so hopefully, I think I got it because I paid for it. So we'll see what happens. Then trust me, I think they're going to do more when they find out that this sells out as quickly as it does. They're going to do more of those. And it's amazing what happens when you have, fans contribute ideas to make your soccer teams look cool. Great work by Olive in York to hop on it. And hopefully you got your 50. And Emilio bought a cycling top from England, needed a 4X, added 3X for England and maybe 1 or 2 for Italy. So, yep, you're adding X's all over the place. Very cool stuff from JT Batson, Augusta, Georgia, to U.S. Soccer to be their new CEO. Soccer on TV today, before we get into juice boxes and things like that and the other news, because I want to talk about England and Germany yesterday, which was just absolutely nuts. We'll get into that in just coming up in a second. College soccer on the B1G starting at 6 o'clock on the men's side. FS1 will be the home for the friendly at 2 o'clock. Nations League is at 2:45 on FS2, Switzerland and the Czech Republic. Fox Deportes has the Canada friendly with Uruguay at noon and Honduras and Guatemala at 9. 2 to NA has the Saudi Arabia match as well as Unimas. Mexico and Colombia is on Univision at 10. ACC Extra has college men's action at 7 o'clock. Remember, we do have, and we'll get into this in just a little bit, we actually do have a match tonight in Major League Soccer at 10 o'clock. FC Cincinnati gets to match 32, taking on Seattle Sounders. We'll go over the fun facts with that one coming up in just a little bit. College men's soccer at 6, 7, and 8, all across ESPN Plus. With women's action, USL Championship, Vegas Lights and Monterey Bay. Vegas Lights have lost 4 in a row at the worst possible time of the season. Monterey Bay has been charging up the standings as a first-year club. That one's at 10 o'clock. Fox Soccer Plus has Norway, Serbia at 2:45. Fubo has 8 matches in the Nations League. We'll go over the juice boxes and the standings and that and coming up in just a little bit. Brasileiros on Paramount Plus with Santos and Atletico Paranaense at 8. ViX has Nations League. They have 10 matches. And DAZN on YouTube, and YouTube has the Women's Champions League with Juventus and Kege. That one is at 2:30. So that's your viewing habits there today. Let's see. Yeah, let's get into Argentina and Jamaica on anywhere. We will effort, and we'll see if we can find a home for that one. Let's see. Actually, tell you what. Let me see if Argentina. Okay, it's the Argentina Jamaica friendly. So we'll keep an eye on that. So if anybody knows where Argentina and Jamaica can be found, short of having to hunt for it, let Katie know. Yesterday, England and Germany was nuts. And that's the only word that I can use for it specifically. 3-3 draw by the time it was done. But Germany, for the first 67 minutes, absolutely in control of this match. Absolutely in control. And Harry Maguire went 2 for 2. He had the turnover that created the second goal. He had the takedown that created the first one. And Harry Maguire probably just needs to shut away from social media between now and the end of time at this rate. Please hold. Sorry, I needed to get a sip of refreshment here. So, first 67 minutes, England looks like it's, they're going to burn Wembley down. The fans are just going to sit there and burn the whole thing down, and it's not going to be pretty. And Garrett Southgate, you can sense the writing and all of the pundits and the talk radio and the fans and fan TV. Gareth out. We're awful. Oh my God, we suck. And then 2 changes were made. He makes 2 lineup changes in the 70th minute. Brings on Bukayo Saka and Mason Mount. That flipped everything. Goes from 2-0, and you get Harry Kane's goal after Schlotterbeck's challenge on Jude Bellingham. Got you VAR, and that got you a PK. Then you get the second goal. Then it's 3-2. Then Nick Pope spills Serge Gnabry's shot. Havertz pounces on it, and Germany gets a point. Absolute bat-ish, nuts, crazy yesterday. So, once again, my question for you this morning. If you are looking at this, and you can look at it neutral, or you can look at it as a follower of players or players or fans or what have you. Who are you more concerned about? If you are looking at that match, are you still concerned as hell about England? Are you less concerned because of what they did in 23 minutes, or probably closer to 30, 25 to 30 minutes? Are you looking at that first 67 and being concerned, or are you looking at that second 25 being less concerned? And the inverse for Germany. Are you looking at that first 67 and going, yeah, okay, everything's cool? Or are you looking at that final 25 going, whoa, we got some things we got to mop up here? With that 6-goal match yesterday, if you're looking at it from the England side or the Germany side or both, what's your perspectives on this one? I still think that there's plenty to worry about with England. And, I haven't read the papers this morning. I'm sure that if I went to the Telegraph, I could see the headline, Southgate gets lineup substitution pattern correct. Subs out players, gets point, something like that. Nick, as a USMNT fan, the English second half scares me more than the first half gives me confidence. Yeah. I mean, it would, I still think that England has issues. I really do. But the fact that they can turn it on with a substitution change like that, they just flip the switch. And I think that Germany kind of let the pedal off the gas a little bit. But yeah, that second half, especially 67th minute on the final 30 minutes, was crazy. And so that was definitely the way to end your afternoon. By the way, I don't know where you were, if you were watching, but Nick's issues, but a team like the United States can't expose, and they'll be exposed by others, though. I was in the car. I have satellite radio in the car, and I was listening to the match driving back here to the office yesterday. And for that final 25 or 30 minutes, I was in traffic going absolutely crazy behind the wheel of the car. And I'm sure that folks who were passing by me, whatever lane of traffic they were in, they're sitting there going, man, what is going on with that dude? Something's going on in his life that he can't get back. But no, it was me reacting to what I was listening to on the radio. So I apologize to everyone who might have been around me in traffic yesterday. That's what was going on. I was reacting to England and Germany. I was not reacting to anything else going on. Rich, have we panicked about the USMNT yet? I think it's various degrees. I think it's various degrees of panic. I think that it's, I think that you probably will have a better gauge of the panic level after today. And then we kind of went into ideas as to what the lineup could look like and what you might want to do to kick the tires on some folks. I think that, this is the last chance to do that, especially at center back. And so you want to see who you want to, have with you for the time in Qatar. So panic. I don't know if panic is the right word. Panic would probably fit more England yesterday than anything else. Probably still the concern is there. And we went over the quotes that Greg Berhalter had in his press conference yesterday in discussing what happened against Japan. And let me see if I can update the Japan score real quick against Ecuador. And goalless in the 88th. And so, once again, Ecuador was a road dog specifically in that match. Japan was a home favorite by about 100 juice boxes. But right now, that one is goalless with a couple of minutes to go. But no, I mean, I think concern is probably where things are. And if there isn't a result that you can come away with and have some ideas and some news and some notes with today, we'll talk about it tomorrow. Then, yeah, I mean, we'll talk about it. We will talk about it. Dylan Butler will be on to talk about it as well. So panic, no. Concern going in, obviously. That may ramp up in a match where you are a favorite, and we'll see what happens after. So Nick's is at DEFCON level 2. So have you scrambled the bombers and gotten sack on the line? I guess that's kind of where we are. Are you at that point? I imagine you go to DEFCON 1 if the result isn't what it's supposed to be. If you take care of business today with probably some changes from the first 45. I just have this vision. Every time somebody mentions a DEFCON level, I just have this vision of Barry Corbin and a cigar. War Games, that's your IMDb search for today. And your Google search. Movie, Matthew Broderick, Ali Sheedy. So, yeah, I think concern, Rich, is more accurate. Not quite panic. Tomorrow might be panic, but it depends on the result. So that's kind of where we are. Once again, Katie Weaver has a heads up asking for the Argentina match. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. If anyone has any suggestions on where to find said match, please put it in the timeline or reach out to Katie specifically and let her know. If you're better at finding these things than I am, yeah, depending on who's available come November, determine if it goes to DEFCON 1. Definitely, no doubt about it. All right, so let's see. Let's get into juice boxes for today, and we'll get into Nations League since we talked about that. We'll get into the standings and what is left to be decided as they get through the end of match weeks 5 and 6, and all the news and notes and rumors and things like that. So early, you've got Euro competitions, you've got friendlies that are going on here late in the morning, African Cup of Nations in the under-23s. You've got lower divisions in England. Canada, Uruguay, once again, Uruguay, favorite, plus 104. Canada's a plus 276, and your draw is a plus 220. South Africa is a big favorite in there, friendly as well against Botswana at a minus 196. Oh, Fanatis, well done, Nix. fntz.co/soccer down here for Fanatis. Yes, exactly. fntz.co/soccer down here. Thank you, Nix. Well done. Excellent promo. More friendlies, lower division stuff. Chile is a favorite in their friendly at 1 against Qatar. Burkina Faso and the Comoros. Burkina Faso, no surprise. fntz.co/soccer down here. Burkina Faso is a minus 147 in their friendly. Friendlies at 2 o'clock. We mentioned the USA. Ghana's a big favorite in their friendly against Nicaragua at a minus 400. Ivory Coast is a favorite in theirs at a minus 141 against Guinea. Egypt, massive favorite in theirs against Liberia, basically at a minus 770. Brazil, their action, Brazil-Tunisia, big favorite, no surprise. Tunisia, to give you an idea, is a plus 2,000. Then lower divisions kick in England, starting at about 245. Trying to see if our friends at Wrexham, I feel like we should do almost like a Wrexham update every single time now if we see them. If they are playing, but I do not see them playing at the moment. Okay, Nations League, 245. Greece, favored at home against Northern Ireland at a plus 112. Ukraine, favored at home against Scotland at a plus 127. I think that game is played in Poland. Armenia, Ireland, a big favorite at a minus 312. Albania at a plus 104, favored against Iceland. Sweden, favored at a minus 154 against Slovenia. Norway, favored at a plus 143 against Serbia at a plus 195. Portugal and Spain, probably one of the marquee games at 245. Portugal at a plus 137. Your draws plus 221. Spain's at about the same. Look at you, Rich Ransom. Where to find Argentina, Jamaica on US TV. Well done. Switzerland, Czech Republic. Switzerland's a favorite at a -139. Kosovo, obviously a big favorite with Cyprus at a -182. England leagues, let's see, you've got Northern Ireland and the Welsh League. They're going on. Copa Argentina's at 3 o'clock. Bonfield go to a cruise. Juice Boxers threw a blanket over it. They're pretty much within the margin of error at a +170. More friendlies at 3. Algeria +106 with Nigeria. Paraguay is a dog going up against Morocco at a +120. Israel a -182 going up against Malta. Our friends at Herediano are playing as a favorite at 4 o'clock in the Costa Rican Primera. Cup action in Paraguay and Chile. Primera Nacional. Chaco Forever, one of our good names here at 6 o'clock. They're taking on Atletico Atlanta. No relation. Chaco's a +173. Canadian Premier League, they've got 6 o'clock, and you can probably find that one on FS2. Panama, Chile, Serie A, and Brazil. We mentioned Santos and Atletico Paranaense. Santos a favorite at home at a +108. Nighttime, Argentina, large favorite against Jamaica at a -1667. Yeah, you ain't kidding, Nick. Let's see. Argentina is a -1667. Jamaica's a +3217. El Salvador, home dog against Peru at a -303. Honduras, Guatemala's at 9 o'clock. Honduras is a +108. Seattle is a home favorite against FC Cincinnati at 10. Seattle +133. Your draws +256. Cincinnati's a +188. Vegas Lights and Monterey Bay. Vegas Lights a slight home favorite, even though they've lost 4 in a row. At a slight dog at +156. Monterey Bay's a slight favorite on the road at +144. Colombia, Mexico is at 10 o'clock, and the Juice Boxers pretty much threw a blanket over that one. Both teams basically +165 to 170. So getting into the match tonight, Major League Soccer, we'll get into the scenarios involving that particular match. Pulling for Sounders tonight, small petty part of me wants another super club to stumble out of the playoffs. So, okay, here's your deal with Seattle and Cincinnati. 10 o'clock, and it is normal start time, local TV on both, 10:08. Sounders and Cincinnati met just one time, Seattle winning 4-1 at home March 2019 in Cincinnati's inaugural MLS match. Jordan Morris scored twice in that match, one of his 5 career multi-goal games. Seattle's 2-1 loss to Vancouver Sunday, their 16th defeat of the year, 2 more than it had in any other MLS season. They had 14 back in 2016. Sounders with 39 points will need to win each of their last 3 matches to avoid setting a club record for fewest points in a season, 47 in the 30-game season back in 2009. FC Cincinnati has lost only one of their last 17 matches, but they've only won 5, including going unbeaten in their last 10, winning 4, drawing 6. 10-match unbeaten run is the longest in FC Cincinnati's MLS history, tied for the longest in MLS this season. The match is the Timbers from June through August and the Reds from May to July. Julian Gressel's match-winning goal for Vancouver against the Sounders on Saturday scored from outside the box since the 2017 season. Stephen Fry has conceded 33 goals from outside the box, 5 more than any other MLS keeper in that time. Brenner's brace for Cincinnati against RSL on Saturday did not help Atlanta United, but that's not in the notes. It's the 8th multi-goal game by a Cincinnati player this season, the 4th by Brenner. Cincinnati had only 1 multi-goal performance in the first 3 seasons of Brenner brace in 2021. So here's your standings as we get into things here. We'll start with the West, and obviously we'll catch up with Nico tomorrow and find out what he thinks. So Seattle, 39 points, 6 points out of the playoff spot, 3 matches to go. This is their match 32, gets them in line with everybody around them. If they win, it gets them to 42 points. Once again, another win outside of the group, and they will have the most wins of anyone below the playoff bar by 2 because they'll have 13 wins. RSL and Vancouver have only 11, so that's where it is for Seattle. They need the win. They need the points. 9-5-1 at home this year. Now, for Cincinnati, here's how it lays out. Cincinnati is a part of that gaggle. You want Brandon Vasquez, Katie, the Vasquez Revenge Tour to send a message to 3G, however. Go West Coast team. Yes, exactly. So here's how it is with the Eastern picture. Orlando, Cincinnati, each with 45 points. But with 3 matches to go, Cincinnati needs to catch up and win at least 2 of them if they're going to catch Orlando in any kind of a tiebreaker, because wins and not goal difference is the first tiebreaker. Orlando has 13 wins on the year. Cincinnati at 45 points. If Cincinnati doesn't budge and they stay at 45, then once again, everyone below them. Miami is the last team in the playoffs right now at 42 points. 42 points, 31 matches played. So they'll have a game in hand on everyone around them. Columbus, 42 matches played, but they only have 9 wins, and that will kill them in any kind of a tiebreaker when it comes to having the same number of points. Remember, wins, your number one tiebreaker. Columbus is 3 wins behind Miami, 2 wins behind Cincinnati, 4 behind Orlando. So they would finish below Orlando in a tiebreaker already with 3 matches to go. Atlanta's got 1 more win than Columbus. Charlotte's got 3 more wins than Columbus at 38 points. So you're looking for go West Coast team, as Katie Weaver says. Go West Coast team here. You're looking for Cincinnati to not get a result, stay close to the pack, get to game 32. That's where we are with that. So you're looking go West Coast team tonight, and you're hoping that they do not get anything out of this road trip whatsoever. Otherwise, I mean, right now, the teams below the playoff bar, realistically, you're chasing after that 7th playoff spot just to get in. And you're looking at New England, Charlotte at 38 points. Charlotte has 3 more wins. New England would have to win out. They would get to 40, and they would get to 44 points. And so any kind of a result, if they don't get any kind of a result in their next match this weekend, New England is done in the playoff picture. Sorry, Shooter. So New England, 4 points below the playoff bar, 2 games to play. Charlotte, 38 points, 3 games to play, 12 wins. Atlanta, 2 points out of the playoffs, 2 matches to go. This weekend at New England, so if Atlanta beats New England, which they need to do to stay on pace, then they're at 43 points. It turns into an absolute mishmash on decision day, and that Sunday afternoon at 2:30 at Mercedes-Benz is going to be crazy. So focus on what's in front of you. Get the win first. Go forward. But that's where it is. Orlando, Cincinnati, 45 points. Orlando is +2 on the wins. Miami's at 42 points with 31 matches played, 12 wins. Columbus, 3 less wins, which will really hurt them in tiebreaker. Atlanta at 40 points. Charlotte and New England at 38. New England only 9 wins on the year. So that is where we are with that. Now, also on the board this morning, we'll get into gossip, rumor, and innuendo, and things left unsaid. So, but before we get into that, since it is the top of the hour, we'll go ahead and read a promo and fade the music up, because I remember I faded it down when we were talking about Michael. So here we go. For odor-free, clean, fresh air, one place you need to go. It's Lemonize Service. Lemonize QR code over my left shoulder. For those of you watching on Twitch, deodorizing enclosed spaces like houses, apartments, and condos, it created a customized solution that eliminizes all organic odors, including pet cigarettes and food. Realtors and property managers use the Lemonize service to eliminate bad odors to help them sell or rent their homes that much faster. It's a turnkey process, makes it easy to work with said realtors and property managers, kind to the environment, offering a green way to go about things without get rid of odors without any kind of toxic residue whatsoever. Different than Febreze or our favorite masking agents that we have either in the cupboard above us or under the sink below us, because when you reach up into the cupboard above you or the sink below you, you bring that masking agent out and you spray it into the air. That's all you're doing. It's a masking agent. That's why they call it that. You're masking the odor. You're not attacking the problem like our friends at Lemonize Service do, all the way down to the molecule with their proven scientific formula. Pricing very, very easy, one of 2 ways. I've tried the cubic foot of parts per million to come up with a price that's affordable for you. Offering results in 24 hours or less. If you have any questions whatsoever, any, go to the website, lemonize.com. But do us a favor here at SDH. After the .com, go /Atlanta so they know what part of the world that you are addressing them from, so they can help attack your problems with their service. I have to get my pen out to do this ending. So your full homework assignment. ELIMINIZE.com /Atlanta. Lemonize.com /Atlanta for odor-free, clean, fresh air. A Lemonize Service, proud sponsors of everything SDH. That gets us into the 10 o'clock hour this morning as I try and fade. There's no real way. It doesn't like fade. I'm going to work on that. So that's your promo for the top of the hour. All right. So gossip, rumor, and innuendo. According to the Eye, Newcastle United considering making a £50 million bid for Shakhtar Donetsk Ukrainian winger Mikhailo Mudryk. So it looks like Newcastle and Arsenal might be fighting for him. According to Marca, England and Borussia Dortmund midfielder Jude Bellingham, who's been linked with a move to Liverpool, is Real Madrid's top target for the next summer transfer window. There was talk of a trade, Keita for Bellingham, and Liverpool and Dortmund seem to, here it is, a build via the Express. Liverpool can move for a swap deal involving Bellingham in January with Naby Keita, wanted by Dortmund. So there it is. So Bild is reporting a possible swap with Liverpool, with Dortmund and Naby Keita. And did I hear the magic sound? I did. He's incoherent. Wow. He's incoherent. I give him full credit for this. Wow. All right, so let's do this. Beat 2, 3, 4. Wow, Bart Keeler joining us from Vegas. I have to promote this. So go ahead and filibuster and discuss how life has been so far while you're actually working there in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
Spending time first thing in the morning,
Yeah.
time hanging out with us.
Yeah, so I actually am working despite having fun in the evenings. I had to be a part of a 4-hour training class yesterday over a topic that is really important but very technical. So for all of you who don't know, I work in marketing, but I work for a cable manufacturer, and we were partnering with some of our industry leaders to present information about systems for sustainable, intelligent buildings. And it was interesting as the social media manager for this company trying to explain what exactly we're talking about in real time while they're talking about it, and using a lot of numbers and formulas that go right above my head. There's a lot of math involved, and I'm like, yeah, those are numbers, great.
Yes.
It's been fun though, but yeah, first time in Vegas. And it's unfortunate that I'm not able to really fully explore it because we have so many things lined up and planned for you already, right? Like you're working on a trade show floor, you've got training seminars, and then you go to dinner with corporate customers, and they pick where you're going, and you're like, all right, well, we're just following you there. But it's 7 o'clock out here in Vegas, which still surprises me that this is considered Pacific time zone, but I don't know. I didn't make time zones.
I didn't either. And general incoherence, I'm definitely right there with you, especially during this hour. And you can tell kind of that the hotel has that Vegas-y feel by looking at the backdrop.
Yeah, there's a lot of marble and stone that feels very unnecessary.
Yes. All right. So first question, how long do we have you?
You got me till what, 7:30 my time, 10:30 your time. So
okay, so we got you at the bottom of the hour. All right, cool. Okay, so I will push the gossip, rumor, and innuendo to the side until we are done. All right, so let's go backward before we go forward, and look at the match last time out from the USMNT. Now that you've had a little while to catch your breath and look at it from 30,000 feet, what'd you think?
Well, I think the most concerning thing is that I'm not sure what lessons were learned. And by that, I mean, we've had a performance like this in a recent memory of a Berhalter coached U.S. men's national team, where he does, and I understand why you would do this in a friendly, emphasize playing a very specific way, and we need to, at all costs, try to play this way with these details. And I understand that. Like, obviously, you want to try to perfect what you want to do in these friendlies because you might not have the opportunities to do that when games matter. The problem that I'm having is hearing the post-match comments about players not really sure of what their duties and responsibilities were. Berhalter saying very plainly in his press conference yesterday that he didn't think that the guys understood the details that they were supposed to be executing on. That's concerning because we're 4 years into the Berhalter, 4 years into the Berhalter regime, and we should not be having system kinks like what we saw against Japan, and especially a Japan team. And this is another kind of concerning point that anyone who's watched Japan would have told you that they're probably going to try to press high, try to turn you over, and beat you on the counterattack. And not that Japan, they're a very talented team. They're very individually technically gifted. So you have a team that not only has a really high work rate, but then the technical ability to beat you when they turn the ball over. Unlike, they're basically New York Red Bulls, but actually talented. And Berhalter seemed like the team didn't have any solution for that. Now, I'm not concerned in the micro because, like, I don't think Wales or England or Iran mirror that style of play whatsoever, right? I don't think that Wales is going to give us a high press and try to turn it over on our back line. I don't think England is that way necessarily either. They're definitely teams that prefer to sit a little more, but that's a really big tip of a way to disrupt what we want to do very easily, is just give us a little pressure. So that was really concerning that Berhalter and team seemed to indicate that they didn't really do anything to play against that style of play that they were going to see. Hopefully, again, that's just because we were so focused on ourselves and doing what we need to do, but it also seemed like a missed opportunity to practice against this press. And again, there were no solutions on the field present, and that was concerning.
You look at, and I know a lot of folks gravitated toward the moment with Jesus Ferreira with the missed header early on, and you sit there and you talk about the tenor of a game changing and things like that. I know that coming into today, a lot of folks are wondering about roster rotation, and we went through Joe Prince Wright's notions about what he anticipated. We know, first and foremost, we'll take it a step at a time. We know that Pulisic and Pepe will be engaged today. With you at 11 o'clock in the morning, your time, probably pulling out a monitor or something like that. It's like,
no, actually, I fortunately have this morning off, so I'll be going to a place called Hennessy's here in Las Vegas to watch with the Vegas chapter of American Outlaws. So I'll be there watching with them. I don't have to do anything until 2 p.m. I'll be working, but I can work while watching the game.
Okay.
I do have some actual assignments that I need to get done as well, but I'll be watching at a bar with friends, so it'll be fun.
Yes, so we will get you off the air in time for the Canada match at 9, and in time for the U.S. match at 11. But we'll start with Pepe and Pulisic. Pulisic's knock is apparently, allegedly, probably, hopefully, maybe a thing of the past, and so Pulisic and Pepe will be a part of the Pulisic and Pepe, part of the program for 3GB.
Yeah, I think Pulisic made sense. I don't think when the initial kind of injury was reported, no one seemed incredibly concerned. Unlike Reggie Cannon, who unfortunately is out. They didn't even like U.S. Soccer didn't. Usually they do report oh, this person's injured. They didn't even do that really with Pulisic, other than hey, it was a lineup note, not a breaking news, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'm glad he's going to play, though, because, we need him to get minutes with this team ahead of the World Cup. For Ricardo Pepi, this is his last opportunity. We still continue to see strikers struggle in the system that Greg Berhalter forces on this team. I was going back to the numbers yesterday, and we had a total of 5 goal contributions during 14 World Cup qualifying matches from strikers.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's not that's a concerning number on its face value. That said, Pepe was 4 of those goal contributions. So, he definitely has, as Berhalter has mentioned many times, trying to defend, calling up a man who up until recently hadn't scored in almost a year for club or country. And, I appreciate him pointing out that Pepe has those numbers. I think today would be a great time for Ricardo Pepi to show again why he's valued in Berhalter's eyes. But his last goal was last October for the U.S. men's national team anyway. And I know Berhalter said yesterday in a quote that I think has been picked apart a little too much, but is still very telling. He basically said, and I'll try to get it as close as I can, but he said, I don't need him to score 5 goals. I just need him to do what we need him to do in the system. And that kind of got scrutinized. So if you don't mind, I'm going to kind of do both sides of this. But I think you're right in that Pepe doesn't need to go score 5 goals, right? Like, I think that that's an over exaggeration. But his point is that we're not looking for him to bang in a bunch of goals. We need him to play the way we want a striker to play in the system, meaning that, we're dropping deep to connect midfield to the forward line. We're taking up space and occupying center backs. We're making runs into the box. The problem with that Berhalter quote is that it seems to just underline the problem that Berhalter has at the national team level right now, which is we don't have strikers who score, period. We could talk about Jesus Ferreira's miss, which, yeah, I mean, I absolutely agree that he probably should have at least put his header on frame.
Yeah.
Right. I think anyone who says that has to be a goal is a little naive. I mean, we've seen strikers miss those before. The concern is that was the only chance we had all game. Right. So if you need to create, if you only create 1 or 2 chances a game for your striker, you're just not going to score a lot of goals, period. So again, when you look back at qualifying and you only had 5 goal contributions, 4 goals and 1 assist from strikers, period, and that included a game that included 2 games that we scored more than 3 goals, right? We scored 4 against Honduras, we scored 5 against Panama. Honduras, we had a Pepe goal and an assist, and Panama, we had a Jesus Ferreira goal. Those aren't great numbers, but then when you break it down, we only average 1.4 goals a game in qualifying, period. So yeah. It's not like it's not like, oh, well, the striker is there and we know that they're not great, but hey, they're doing a good job of moving a center back here or taking away here so that Pulisic or these guys can go. We're just not scoring a lot of goals, and that's concerning going up against teams who will be able to score against us. I mean, I know England and Wales aren't prolific goal scorers, but they have guys on their team who absolutely can score goals. And it hasn't shown that way for the U.S. So I would push back against Berhalter and say, yeah, I do want to see his striker score goals. And I would rather him score goals than play your system perfectly, because your system just quite honestly isn't producing the goals that we need. And the problem is, throughout qualifying, Greg Berhalter could very much lean on we only conceded so many goals. And that's true. We conceded 10 goals throughout 14 matches of qualifying. That's awesome. But as we saw against Japan, you just gave up 2 goals and you created a whole 2 chances in the match. That's not okay. So I'm glad Pepe's going to get this opportunity. I'm concerned that we're just still not seeing any production out of a striker position. And to me, that comes down to if no striker looks good in your system, Greg Berhalter, whose fault is that?
All right. So I found the quote in full. It says, I don't need him to score 5 goals tomorrow. We need him to play like a forward in our system, and hopefully he gets opportunities, and hopefully he takes the opportunities well. It's stuff he's done before for us. I'm confident he can do tomorrow.
And I think Berhalter is right to give Pepe a chance, right? Because you have Ferreira, Sargent, and Pepe in this camp, 3 young strikers who at various points in their career have been really hot. Ferreira is still pretty hot. Sargent is finding his form again. Pepe needs a little bit of a confidence boost. I still think it's very foolish of Greg Berhalter to have not considered Jordan Pefok, and continues to still speak as if Jordan Pefok isn't even a consideration for a World Cup. And I think, John, you've been around this game long enough. You always got to bring the hot hand, right? You got to bring a striker who's scoring goals.
Yeah.
Even if they don't necessarily fit your system. You have 26 players on this roster, okay? You can afford to bring in a striker who's scoring at the Bundesliga level, who scored almost 20 goals last season, I know it's the Swiss League, but across all competitions last year, 20 plus goals, and is playing and scoring and assisting for the best team in Germany right now. I think you could find room. If you're bringing Aaron Long, who, you bring him because of leadership or whatever bullshit excuse you're making at this point in time, after watching him against Japan, you can bring a guy who actually produces. And I get it. He hasn't produced for the men's national team. Now there's Josh Sargent. You're still riding with him.
Yeah.
Ferreira's only got 1 goal for you. Again, well, he's got more than 1 goal. He only has 1 goal for you against real teams. I'm sorry, Grenada doesn't count.
Yeah.
At some point, you have to understand that you need guys who are going to score, and hopefully Pepe can do that today. I personally need to see him score a goal. That's just
Yeah. So then do this for me. In the Bart Keeler power rankings, rank the strikers for the U.S. for me in your power ranking order. How would you line them up in order of importance?
So I still think Josh Sargent is the type of forward that would work best in the Berhalter system. And I think he, at the club level, is now showing that he can score. So I would put him at 1.
Okay.
I would put right now Pepe at 2.
Mm-hmm.
Because, again, I understand the history of that he has scored. Granted, I think that the Honduras game is a little bit of a break from the Berhalter system. So I'd argue that he hasn't really scored in the system. We were pushing guys forward, trying to score a bunch of goals, but he did.
Mm-hmm.
I would put Pflock 3rd because I understand that he doesn't, quote, fit the system. But I would bring him regardless. And I would have Ferreira. Ferreira is my 4th striker, if you will, but that's because I think he's a good enough player to play a lot. Like you need him on the field or on your team because he could be valuable in a lot of ways. I think he's a very talented player. I don't know if he's necessarily like an out and out striker. So that's kind of where I put him in that 4 position. I know a lot of people think that he's probably better as a 10 or withdrawn forward in a 2 forward system. And obviously that's not the way Berhalter plays. But for me, Ferreira just doesn't convert enough chances. And not even talking about that Japan match. We're talking about the entire sample size of his time with the national team since 2021. He just hasn't converted the chances that he needs. Even in that Grenada match, we got a lot of chances. He only got a couple goals. So it's not like he's banging them home when he's on fire either. So it would be Sargent, Pepe, Pflock, Ferreira, about 700 other people, and then Jossie Zardes.
Okay.
Sorry, I had to get one of those in there.
Nothing wrong with that. But so let's follow you up on your BS comment from a couple of minutes ago and go to the back now.
Yeah.
Center back. How much rotation are you anticipating today at the back, center back / left and right, first and foremost? When you look at the lineup, how much rotation are you anticipating those 4 at the back?
So I don't think Walker Zimmerman will or should be dropped. I don't think he had a great game against Japan. I think that's valid. No one did. But I do think that Walker is your leader. There's a reason he was the captain. And I think he's been your most reliable center back throughout qualifying. I think you keep him there. He's also, when you're talking about, testing and experimenting, he's your constant. And to me, you would rotate in either Mark McKenzie or Eric Palmer-Brown. You saw McKenzie get the run out in the second half of last game. I think it would be wise to maybe start him, right? And if you want to make a change at halftime to either Eric Palmer-Brown for either McKenzie or Zimmerman, I think that would be a good. That's my wake-up alarm.
There's your wake-up alarm.
I happen to wake up early for you. But I would start McKenzie and Zimmerman to see, because there were good things from that second half from them. And I think then you rotate in Eric Palmer-Brown for one of them at halftime. I would personally give Zimmerman a break, just from a minutes load type of thing. It's like, yeah, you played all 90 last time. Give us 45 to 60 this time, and then take a seat, make great content with your cute son. So
there you go,
little baby.
Yes. And then what about on the left and the right? What are you looking at?
Yeah.
JPW had Scally and Dest in some combination.
So yeah, I'm not sure, because I very much don't think Sam Vines was good. And I don't think you'll see him playing this game because of, again, you're experimenting and testing out. I would like to see Scally at left back, because I would like to just see how that compares to what we saw with Sam Vines. However, it could be that Berhalter tries Dest at left back as another trial for the whole what happens if Jedi isn't able to play in the World Cup for some
Right.
reason.
Yeah.
Because I do think that very much Greg Berhalter sees Sergiño Dest as his backup left back while also being your starting right back. But I would like to see Scally at left back. I don't think that's his best position. I'd rather see him at right back, but I think you'll see Dest or Yedlin at right back. And I think you'll see Scally at left back. He has, obviously he has the ability to play both sides, but he's a naturally right-footed player, a natural right back. I'd rather see him at right back, but if he plays at left back today, it'll be good to see if it's just, is it better than what we saw with a true left back in Sam Vines on Friday?
And then in net, the idea, yes, Matt Turner right now is probably your number one. There was a notion.
Probably not for Greg Berhalter, but yeah, he's mine.
Yeah. Now you're looking at, are you giving Horvath and Sean Johnson 45 each? What are you looking at here?
So this is the question of, does Greg Berhalter see Zach Steffen as his number one?
Yeah.
And the reason why we kind of have this theory, Meg Swanek, who does a lot of great reporting beyond just what happens on a match, she revealed yesterday that Ricardo Pepe, for some reason, now has started eating cheese for breakfast because once he moved to Europe, he started eating cheese for breakfast. And I guess before that, he didn't eat cheese at breakfast, which I'm going, what did you put on your eggs, man? But she does a lot of cool reporting like that. But she kind of insinuated, Greg Berhalter made a comment yesterday that there were 5 guys who he would consider starters who were injured and not in camp. Now, a lot of people kind of went through that process of elimination. I think you can very much say that it's Tim Weah, is very much Jedi Robinson. Yunus Musa is probably a starter as well. So there's 3.
Yeah.
4 could be, is that Chris Richards? Is it Zach Steffen maybe? Some people said, it might be Miles Robinson. So there's a lot of people who were not quite sure who those 5 starters are.
Yeah.
But I think there's a lot. She kind of, and I agree with her. I think there's a lot of evidence to support that Greg Berhalter still sees Zach Steffen as his starter, which I vehemently disagree with. I think Matt Turner is. I think Matt Turner is a better goalkeeper, and this is again the problem with Greg Berhalter is he hyper focuses on one specific characteristic or quality of a player that he likes within his system. And it may not even be that they're like that great at that, but like, they're good at this, so he likes that. And Zach Steffen is mildly better with the ball at his feet,
but he's prone to go mentally walkabout.
Yeah. So, and that's my thing is I don't even think Zach Steffen's that much better with the ball at his feet. I think he's more comfortable because he's played soccer longer than Matt Turner. Matt Turner obviously didn't really come to soccer until his teenage years. So he is still learning. But as we've seen with, I'm going to bring this back to Atlanta United, Rocco Real-Novo is phenomenal with the ball at his feet. He's a phenomenal ball-playing goalkeeper. He's not a very strong shot stopper. I could talk long and hard about Rocco Real-Novo and how a lot of the goals that have been scored. Yeah, I still don't think a lot of the goals that Rocco conceded were all Rocco's fault. But Raul Gudiño, not great with his feet. That hasn't really impacted the way Atlanta United wants to play. And I think that if you're looking at what you want from your goalkeeper, you can look at Alisson and Ederson. They're still really darn good shot stoppers, right? Like they're still really good at keeping the ball out of the back of the net. It helps that they're really good with the ball at their feet. But I want a goalkeeper who's going to keep the ball out of the back of the net. And I think Matt Turner is better at that than Zach Steffen. And I would have Matt Turner as my number 1, and therefore I would start Matt Turner and just play him. Like, hey, this is not the time to like give people minutes for the fun of it, right? I mean, we saw Sean Johnson get minutes in the summer. You saw Horvath get minutes in the summer. They've played recently. I think right now you are trying to get ready for the World Cup, and I would put Matt Turner in personally because he's my number 1 for all 90 minutes. And you should have been able to gather data during the training week that you've had on Johnson and
Horvath. Sam Williamson in the Twitch pitch, 2 points, both of them strikerish. One, he's wishing that PFOC were to be unleashed, and then his other question is, you wouldn't take a chance on Brandon Vasquez.
No, because I've had him in my fantasy team for a while, and he was really good, but he hasn't scored recently, so he has cooled off a lot. And I do think there's some like legitimate truth to the fact that he has not at any point been a part of a Greg Berhalter camp. And I am not a fan of just bringing a guy in for the World Cup, right? I still think you want a guy who's been in the squad, who people know, and not necessarily knows the Berhalter system, but just knows the general philosophy, tactics, and mentality of the team. I think it's a shame that Vasquez hasn't been looked at before this, but I think of him similar to the way, it's not quite the same, but like Georgi Mihailovic is a dude who I think could very much help this team.
Agreed.
But he hasn't really been a part of a Berhalter camp since 2019. And even though he's been very good in MLS for a while, I don't think I would trust him to be able to execute the system, even when he has been in camps for the men's national team at the youth level. He hasn't looked fantastic in the U23 tournament, but it just wouldn't. I don't know if now's the time, right? And I also would go back to what I've been saying to a lot of people who on Atlanta United Twitter keep saying, like, why don't we keep Vasquez? And it's like, y'all, Vasquez wasn't this good until literally this year. Jordan PFOC has been scoring goals in Europe, and I don't just mean at a equivalent level to MLS Swiss League. He's been doing it in Europa League. He's doing it now in the Bundesliga. He's been scoring buckets of goals for several years.
Mm-hmm.
And that to me carries a lot more weight than a really good year from Brandon Vasquez, who up until this point, I'm sorry guys, hasn't shown any indication that he would be a U.S. men's national team player.
Yeah. For me, you can't, because we went through the Bart Keeler power rankings, and Brandon Vasquez was not in your top 5. I can't devote space to someone who hasn't been in a national team camp. And just because he's a hot hand, you're heading into a World Cup.
Yeah.
It's just like there haven't been any national team reps. And yeah, this is cool. And that's really about all I can say about it. It's cool to see. He was part of he was not the same player at Atlanta United. He was part of a numbers allocation game with expansion teams. It's like you had to leave some folks unprotected. And it was natural to understand that Brandon Vasquez would be unprotected in that situation because of everyone else that you had to protect. And it just so happens that in this system in Cincinnati, he has been unlocked. Good on him for it.
Yeah.
But not right now. Maybe if he keeps this up over the next handful of years.
Yeah, and I think that would be he's still young enough to where he could be the striker for 2026. That is absolutely, he's still in the young enough striker pool, right? Like PFOC is weirdly older and he's still in his like not even mid-20s yet. I think he's like 24, 25. If I'm remembering correctly. Vasquez a little younger than that, and then you have the trio of strikers that we talked about earlier. So Brandon Vasquez still has a very good chance to be a player for the U.S. men's national team, for years to come.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing I would kind of feel about Mihailovic would be one, like he's going to get a move to Europe at the end of the season. That could very much catapult him into a U.S. men's national team picture going forward. Same with Gabriel Slonina, right? Like, a very good young goalkeeper. Hopefully, and when he, I don't know what Chelsea has in mind for him. I don't think,
loading.
Sure. I don't know what the Chelsea loan army will look like now that Abramovich isn't fully in charge. But I could see him getting loaned to European clubs at least. I don't think he'll stay with Chicago for much longer.
Right.
And hey, that's a great bet on your future.
Mm-hmm.
I would say that Vasquez, it's just not his. It doesn't make sense. And if you want to talk hot hands, again, PFOC has the hot hand. If you want to talk hot hands in MLS, you still have Jesus Ferreira.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you want a hot hand. I think in a World Cup roster that is valid, but you have those options already. And I think you have better options than what Brandon Vasquez is.
All right, one more before you go, so you can sample the $2.99 breakfast bar at whatever establishment that you are hanging out with that'll have steak and eggs from one end of the world to the other. With England and Germany yesterday, absolute 3-3 madness, and if I had, after you're gone, I'll check the over and find out what the over was at 5.5, just so folks figure out what they missed out on the juice boxes yesterday. Harry Maguire, he was right there with it. If you're a fan of either one, which one are you worried more? If you're a fan of England for what happened in the first 65 and not the last 25, or Germany with what happened in the last 25 and not the first 65? Give you a brain teaser before you head to breakfast.
So I think Germany has a little bit of concern because they also weren't great against Hungary.
Mm-hmm.
But I would argue that they were still creating a lot of chances. And as you saw against England, they still scored 3 goals. They created a good number of chances. So that's where you talk about like XG, right? Like if you create enough chances, eventually they're just going to score, right?
Right.
That's the problem I have with the U.S. men's national team from Friday is that, okay, well, yes, Ferreira missed the one chance we had. We probably should have tried to create more than one chance. England right now does have some real questions and have had questions since making the run to the final Euro last year. You know, I don't know if Gareth Southgate needs to have a sit down with Serena Weigman to kind of talk about like, hey, how do I get the best out of my team right now?
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the fact that England, it's cool that they ended up coming back to, you know, get a draw from that game, which, by the way, ultimately doesn't matter because they're still relegated.
Correct.
And that would be what I would say is it doesn't really matter for England. Congratulations, you showed fight when you were already down. It seemed like they were playing for pride, and that's good.
Yeah.
Right. If you're an England fan, they were playing for pride, but I would be concerned. I would be concerned because you're giving up a lot of goals, which was the hallmark of England in that Euro run. Was they were pretty tight defensively, able to score opportunistic goals, and they haven't shown that. And they've been giving up a lot of goals. that is concerning if I'm an England fan.
Yeah.
I was going back through FotMob and I forgot that they lost 4-0 to Hungary. Yeah.
Well, yes.
So,
4.
A Hungary team that has been incredibly fun to watch. I'm not going to praise too much more about that country, but
no.
You know, Hungary's been competing well in this particular edition of the Nations League, but England, man, you're looking at, I think, let's see, during this, you've given up 3 to Germany, 1 to England, 4 to Hungary, and that's just this part of the Nations League. You got a home draw against Italy. Gave up a lot of goals recently. That would be more concerning to me than anything.
Yes, that is accurate. So let's see. 3, 4, 8. Yeah. 9 in 5 matches, 9 in the last 5 matches, 10 in the group stage in Group 3, and they are no longer going to be a part of the League A.
Shut out 1, 2, 3, 4 times.
Yeah.
I'm looking at 4 times blanked during this nation's out of 6 matches.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's not great.
Yeah, that's referred to as not good. Yeah. All right. So when are you on this end of the planet again?
So I come back home on Thursday.
In
Thursday
theory.
night.
In theory,
yeah. I get off a plane at 7:30, I think, in Atlanta, and then I have a game in the Sons of Pitches League at 8:55. So we're gonna see if we're gonna make that.
Man, you're coming off the plane hot, man.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see if that can happen because I did not bring any of my gear with me so I'll have to go home and get it.
Somebody ought to meet you at the airport and be like a concierge.
Like, hey, come get me.
Come get me
maybe
my gear.
Yeah, but I'll be back this weekend. Be able to watch the Atlanta United game up in New England and see how they finish out the season. I know we think that we have a playoff chance. I am still sticking to my prediction from back in. Hold on, I took a screenshot. August. Where is it? August 15th, when I said we aren't making the playoffs this year.
6 weeks ago.
So,
all right.
Yeah,
No.
We can talk about Atlanta United and their struggles.
Absolutely. When you come back, we will discuss the USMNT window. And Atlanta United after New England as well next week. So
it's important to look good today, though. You're playing against Saudi Arabia team who, though they finished higher than Japan in their qualifying group, I don't think anyone would say that they're a better team than Japan.
No.
They're missing, I think, 4 starters from the game that they just played.
Right.
It's important to look good for a number of reasons, not just to make fans like me a little, more settled, less uneasy, but also because you need to have a positive feeling heading into the World Cup, and you need to show that you've corrected some of the problems you had on Friday, which is just at this point completing passes, because that was a struggle all day on Friday.
Because Bart, it is better to look good than to feel good. You know that.
Yeah.
Absolutely, that is the way. You have to look good better to look good than to feel good. Bart, enjoy your breakfast buffet. Thanks for walking through the forbidden door at an incredibly early hour in the Pacific time zone.
Yeah.
Be safe, my friend, especially coming back in town when the madness is going to start with Ian.
I have shout out to anyone who's in Florida or anything. Please stay safe. We have a couple of people on our team right now that they're having to change flights. We're planning to stay till Thursday, and unfortunately have to get home and help family prepare for this. So if you're in Florida, stay safe. Even those people in Orlando, stay safe.
Yes, what he said. Bart, thanks for your time, my friend, and we will catch up with you next week.
See y'all.
All right, Bart Keeler, Soccer for US Pod, and there he goes. Breakfast in Las Vegas with Bart. That sounds like a segment when he's on the road. Massive thanks to Bart for hopping on. What I did, knowing he was in Vegas, not knowing when his day was going to start, I basically said, okay, Bart, here's the forbidden door. You can walk through it in the 10 o'clock hour because it's 7 o'clock your time. That's okay. Then you're all right. So there you go. All right. Nations League standings coming into your final match days. We know what's happening. Croatia advances. They are 1 point ahead of Denmark. Austria gets relegated out of Group 1. Group 2 still in play with Portugal and Spain. The decider there, all Portugal needs is not to lose, and they will be team number 2. In Group 3, Italy works their way through. Hungary was second. England gets relegated. Czech Republic plays Switzerland, and so that if Czech Republic gets a result, Switzerland could be relegated to League B. And in Group 4, Wales gets relegated, losing 5 of 6, 1-0 to Poland. Netherlands runs the table at 5-1-0, and they are in the Final Four for Nations League as well. So that's your look there in League B, just to kind of give you the ideas. Final match week, Bosnia works their way through. They will be part of the promoted bunch out of Group 3. Norway is tied with Serbia in Group 4. The result there that means the most will get one of those two up. Sweden and Slovenia are playing. Loser there will get relegated to Group C. We're looking at Romania getting relegated out of Group 3 because of goal difference to Montenegro. Russia got relegated to League C because they got booted from the tournament, as they should have been. And we're still waiting on match week 4 for Iceland and Albania to determine what happens there. So those two are just going to be in there for positioning. Israel advances. They'll be promoted. And so we're waiting on the final match day in Group 1. Scotland and Ukraine fighting for a promotion spot. Ireland and Armenia fighting not to be relegated. So that is your look there at Nations League. Other gossip, rumor, and innuendo. AC Milan technical director Paulo Maldini says Portugal forward Rafael Leao has been linked with a move to Chelsea, knows his future is with the Serie A club despite complications from a previous transfer affecting negotiations to renew his contract at the San Siro. That's courtesy of our friends at Calcio Mercato. Corriere dello Sport. Chelsea planning to increase the summer offer they made for Inter Milan's Denzel Dumfries to €50 million, 44.5 million pounds, but would be willing to loan the 26-year-old back to the Serie A club for 6 months if the deal goes through in January. Former PSV Eindhoven right back Dumfries says reported interest is flattering from Chelsea and Manchester United, but he's focused on regaining the Serie A title with Inter. That's from De Telegraph via the Express. Manchester United keeping close tabs on Villa's Emiliano Martinez. That's from Football Insider. Chelsea, Arsenal, Tottenham looking into the possibility of signing 25-year-old Spain and Villarreal center back Pau Torres. That's from our friends at Caught Offside. Inter Milan have not made any progress in talks over an extension for Milan Skriniar, whose contract expires next summer. So PSG can make another move for the defender in the winter transfer window. That's from La Gazzetta dello Sport. Real Madrid plan to bring back Spain winger Brahim Diaz, formerly of Manchester City, from a loan spell at AC Milan to replace Marco Asensio when his contract expires in the summer. That's from our friends at Football España. Asensio has already signed a preliminary contract with Barca that will run for 4 years from next summer. And that's according to RAC1 via Bild. Barca and Liverpool interested in swapping forwards. Memphis Depay and Bobby Firmino. Keep an eye on that one. That one's from Sport. Liverpool not ruling out a move for Benfica's Argentine midfielder Enzo Fernandez. Keep an eye on that one. Reported 120 million euro release clause, 106.5 million pounds. That's from Ohogo via the Liverpool Echo. Belgium defender Jason Denayer, linked with Wolves this summer, has joined Shabab El Akhli on a one-year deal after leaving Lyon at the end of last season. That's from L'Equipe. Sadio Mane Senegal compatriot Salif Diao says that the Bayern Munich forward pushed for his summer move from Liverpool because, quote, he did not have the love that he needed, end quote, from manager Jurgen Klopp. That's from the Liverpool Echo. Middlesbrough's boss Chris Wilder is a leading candidate for the vacant job at Bournemouth, having previously led Sheffield United to the promotion to the Prem. Former Norwich midfielder Mark Fotheringham is leaving his role as Hertha Berlin's assistant manager to become the new manager of Huddersfield Town. Once again, that's courtesy of our friends at Soccer Insider. So we'll keep an eye on all of that stuff from the BBC. Let's see. Airborne DJ, haven't been able to listen today, just driving by to say fully prepared for a goalless, pointless group stage. Okay. Of course, the silver lining there would be the quick departure of 3GB. We'll keep an eye on that. And I don't know if that's going to happen a month or so, 6 weeks before the World Cup, 54 days, I think, DJ. But, of course, a lot of folks are probably saying the same thing about Gareth Southgate until the 70th minute yesterday with their match against Germany. Let's see if there's anything else going on in the papers. Gareth Southgate, of course, defended his decision for Luke Shaw and Harry Maguire yesterday. Jude Bellingham prefers Real Madrid to a move from for the Premier League, prefers a move to Real Madrid over the Prem, set to snub United, City, Chelsea, and Liverpool, working his way forward. Mentioned what we saw from Denzel Dumfries, and we mentioned Michael Sheen staging another motivational speech. Once again, go to faw.tv on YouTube. It was fun stuff. It's about 7.5 minutes long, and it includes his second speech to them. Also from the Mirror, take over Newcastle United by Saudi's PIF, assisted by an intervention from a Tory minister who spoke directly to the Premier League's then chair, Gary Hoffman, according to a Freedom of Information Act requested by Open Democracy. The Times, Everton defender Nathan Patterson set to see a specialist on Tuesday with an initial diagnosis indicating he could be out for about 6 weeks with the injury sustained in Scotland's win over Ukraine. Daily Express, footage has emerged of German fans storming the Green Man pub near Wembley ahead of the two sides' nationally clash on Monday. Arsenal will reportedly have no problems terminating Marcelo Flores' loan contract with Real Oviedo in January if he isn't given more game time. And Daily Star, Cristiano Ronaldo spotted with a black eye and a cut on his face in training after suffering an injury for Portugal. And so those are the tours of the papers and everything that is going on there, I believe. And I'm trying to see if there's anything else to discuss with all of our different sources that we have going on. Oh, there was one more thing I wanted to talk about this morning. And it came out from Kevin Baxter at the LA Times. Something very, very interesting. And it was apparently that next year, the 2023 season for LAFC and the LA Galaxy is going to start against each other at the Rose Bowl. And so it was very, very interesting to see that. So interesting stuff coming out of the LA Times this morning that LAFC and the LA Galaxy looks like they're going to be squaring off against each other in the Rose Bowl to start the 2023 season. So we'll keep an eye on that one as well. Once again, seconding everything that Bart Keeler has said to all of you who are either in Florida have family in Florida, friends in Florida, are trying to work their way out. Be safe. Keep an eye on them. Keep in constant contact with them. And because it looks like Tampa, Pinellas County is going to be a direct hit for Ian as he works his way up in the next day or so. So keep an eye on that. Keep an eye on all your friends. And keep an eye on everything right now. As I look to my left, the advisory that happened a couple of hours ago, Cat 3, 125-mile-an-hour winds moving north at 12 miles an hour. And it looks like once he hits Tampa and Pinellas County, looks like he might take that turn at about 2 o'clock and work his way over the state of Florida and crossing over into the Atlantic and work his way up eventually. So we'll see what the latest is with Ian as we go. But, yeah, so now it's being reported by a lot of different folks. Alex Silverman, BR Football, Kevin Baxter, Galaxy and LAFC taking the rivalry to the Rose Bowl to open their respective 2023 seasons on February 25th. So Silverman has a date. Capacity north of 90,000 could set a new single-game attendance record for Major League Soccer. So that's Tom Bogert, Stephen Goff, all of them. So that's will be very, very interesting with what goes down with LAFC and with the LA Galaxy to start things off late February of 2023. So keep an eye on everybody that is there with you. Thanks to Bart Keeler for getting up bright and before early out in Las Vegas to hang out with us with all of his thoughts about the USMNT. Remember, all of your friendlies today and all the eyes are going to be taking a peek at the USMNT and Saudi Arabia, 2 o'clock Eastern time. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Dylan Butler will hang out with us at 10 o'clock. We'll have your thoughts as well at 9 o'clock, 9:05, as always. We'll come in and we'll talk about the USMNT and anything else on your mind as we go. So, mucha plata, y'all. And since it is the end of the show, that means I get to do this. See you tomorrow.